Hey guys, we're ready to get into our cook today. As you know, we're doing our spoon roast. Now, a couple things to learn. People say they're not that great. Well, I disagree. You have the tenderloin, you have the prime rib, and then third, and a close third, is the spoon roast. This here is about 6 to 8 pounds of spoon roast here. And why do they call it a spoon roast? Well, because when it's cooked to perfection, you can cut it with a spoon. No need for a knife. So let's get into this. So we're gonna do a little bit of olive oil, just for a little binder. And as you guys know, you always gotta put some binder on the meats to make sure all the ingredients stay. So we're doing a very basic seasoning because we're doing a customized fig whiskey bourbon glaze, which we'll get into later. Just gonna put a little bit of salt on this here. Also, as you guys can see here, that with the spoon roast, it is tied and wrapped, so it keeps a nice little package, so as it cooks, it's even throughout the whole cook, which is what we want. We'll have a probe put in it, and we want to get it to about 120. We want to make sure that it's done really good, not overcooked, kind of more like a rare, medium rare-ish, because we're going to sear it at the end. And with the glaze, it's going to be fantastic. You want to make sure you got every part of this meat here. And again, you just kind of tap it down. The reason I tap is to make sure it stays, because you want it on the meat, you don't want it on the board, you want it everywhere you can get it, because again, this is flavor, you gotta bring it out in the meat. All right, so this here is all set. It's gonna go right in here. And then next, we're gonna bring it right to the oven. So, follow me. All right, oven's at temp, we're doing it at 250. Should be somewhere in an hour and a half to 2, and we're gonna just let it sit. We'll be back in a little bit. See you soon. Hey guys, we're here to do a whiskey fig bourbon glaze. Now, we call it figgy whiskey, and why do we do that? Because as we talked about, White Dog Distillery, we have their figgy whiskey, which is right here, but how they make is they take fresh figs that are right in this cup here, and they take them and they marinate them for a long time, and then they come out with their figgy whiskey around holidays. So I was there, and they actually were very generous, the owners, Carl and Lara, to give me some of their figs that are soaked in whiskey. So if you can smell them, like you can smell it through the camera, that's how potent they are, but they are just fantastic. A great balance of the whiskey and the sweet of the figs. So trust me, it's fantastic. You're gonna wanna utilize this. So we're just gonna cut up about 8 to 10 figs. And again, we're just gonna come small because it's gonna go part of the glaze. I like to put them in little rounds. So that's all we're gonna do. As you guys doing this, again, one thing that I like to do, you always have to have good quality ingredients. So you have to taste it. And first thing that comes to mind, I know it's after Christmas, but the heck with the figgy pudding, go with the figgy whiskey. I'm telling you, up your game next year. And they might still have some available. So go to White Dog Distillery, tell them Tony Too Small from Wise Guys Barbecue sent you. They'll take care of you. We might even get them on the podcast soon, as a little spoiler alert. They make a ton of whiskeys, all out around, all homemade. As you know, we're using this one, and trust me, you won't go wrong. Our 8 to 10 figs, again, go by size. These were about a little bigger than a quarter, under a $50 size. As you can see, we got them all right here. All right, now, we're gonna start putting this together. So you start with a cup of the figgy whiskey bourbon from White Dog Distillery, Pawtucket, Rhode Island. After that, we got, don't be throwing stuff around. You get a half a cup brown sugar, tablespoon of butter, tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, and last but not least, the figs. So we're just gonna get them here, and then we're gonna put them on the stove, get them warmed up, and then let it sit. Once it comes to a boil, just let it simmer for a while. It gets this nice syrup, which we'll show you in a little bit. So again, don't go away. What we're doing is a flank steak, but not just any old flank steak. We're actually marinated it in what's here, jalapeno lime moonshine, and we will come back to using this to finish it off as well. But again, since it's been marinated, we're just gonna do the basic, a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, and a little bit of smoked paprika. Again, it's just enough to coat it to get some flavors in there for us. And as you guys know, we have to do both sides. It's all about the seasoning. Being liberal here with the salt. I personally love pepper, so I always add a little bit extra. It's good to always have some heat. And then again here, it's just a smoked paprika to bring out a little more of the smoke. All right, so we're gonna put this in the oven. Why don't you guys follow me to the oven? All right, guys, we're gonna just put this in here on the bottom shelf. Again, we have the oven at 225. We want to get the internal temperatures to around 118 to 120. So we'll check it in about an hour and a half. See you soon. All right, let's see. All right, it's temping at 121. So the flank steak is done. We're gonna pull it out, let it rest, and then you'll see what happens next. All right, guys, so for the flank steak, the way we're gonna finish them is on some toast or bruschetta. So what we're gonna do, because I want a very light toast, so we're just gonna hold them right over, put them right over here, right on the edge of this here, because we don't want a big sear, just need a little bit, just enough, as you can see, just enough to make it crispy. Because the star of the show is not gonna be the bread, but the bread is gonna be what we utilize as the vessel for us. So you can see right there, a little bit of crispy, a little crunch. Not a lot, just enough to give it some texture. Because as we put this together, it's going to be a layered appetizer, which you can serve as a meal, as a main course if you want. I like it as an appetizer before the real meal, so they get steak, steak, and more steak. You can't beat it. So that's it, nice and easy. Can you do it in a toaster oven? Yes, you can, but why not do a wise guy style on the open flame? Now what we're going to do, as you see, we got the flank steak here. You can see the grain is pretty much running my left to right or your left to right. You always want to cut it against the grain because that way when you actually eat it, it melts in your mouth. That's the trick, especially in tougher meats, and this is not one of them. But you want to cut against the grain, as you can see. And then just like, look at this. Just look at that. When you just grab it, it's just so moist and juicy. So we're gonna make a few more. Now before we put it and present it, I have to just try it. Wow. With the marinated jalapeno lime moonshine and just the basic salt and pepper, fantastic. So now let's put this together. Our bread is nice and crusty. So what we're gonna do here is I'm just gonna cut it even smaller because I want it to have some nice pieces on here. So just cut them in half. Then as you see, we'll put them on the bread. So that's step one. Step two is, if you remember from Tommy the Butcher, we have some homemade horseradish. So we reserve some of that just to put on. Again, a little bit of flavor. All you need is just a little bit, not a lot. I mean, you can always add more. I just want just more because it's more of an appetizer bite. You don't want more of that. Now the finishing touches is I actually brined, or I should say, I pickled some jalapenos. So we're just gonna put them on here. So just think about it when you eat this. You're gonna have the bread for the crunch factor, right? As we toasted it on the grill, you saw that. We toasted it right on the open flame. From there, you have the succulent steak, which is cooked to perfection. From there, you have a little bit of heat with the horseradish, and then you get the texture coming for the peppers. It doesn't get much better than this. Now, what you've all been waiting for, and I've been waiting for, time to taste this thing. Just like we talked about, the crispiness of the bread, the savory of the steak, the sweetness of the jalapenos, and a little bit of heat from the horseradish. Fantastic. You gotta try it. All right, guys, look at this here. Nice sear, nice crust on the end. All right, guys, let's cut into this. Look at that. Perfect. We got the glaze over here, just warming up. It's almost done, right? So now here, if you guys can see this, nice little fig glaze, bourbon fig glaze. All right. All right, guys, so now here we go. Right here. Got the glaze, got the figs. Let's see. Well, let me tell you. As you can see, it's cooked fantastic. Why? Because we can cut it with a spoon. This figgy whiskey from White Dog Distillery is just amazing. And with the figs that were infused with the whiskey and a little bit of the brown sugar and honey, it's just fantastic. You got the heat of the meat, the sweetness of the figs, a little bit of in the back end of the whiskey. Gotta try it. My gosh, you can't beat it. All right, guys, well, it comes to the end of another two smoke day for Tony Two Smokes at Wise Guys Barbecue. As you can see to your right is the spoon roast, which is utilized the whiskey, figgy whiskey from White Dog Distillery. So thank you to them for all what they did for the figs and for the alcohol. And you can see how that was done. And again, it's just fantastic. To your left, you have the flank steak that we did on the Bruschetta with the homemade horseradish by Tommy the Butcher and the homemade pickled peppers by Tony Two Smokes. And again, we used the jalapeno lime moonshine. So again, this is the final thing. It's great. You got to go out and try it. Everything's just fantastic. And remember, as we always say, and we'll keep gonna like, subscribe, and ring that bell, baby. Thank you much, Tony Two Smokes, Wise Guys Barbecue. See you next time.